Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Animation Super Basics. The first week we covered keyframes, and last week we covered keyframe interpolation, and this week we're going to cover the graph editor. So what we're going to be doing is creating these 4 examples here. This is going to be a quick one. There's not much that I'm going to go over. There's more that I could go over. But seeing how this is like the super basics, pretty much just going to be dealing with stuff that you're going to be using all the time. And maybe even some stuff that you aren't going to use. But I'll still cover it. Before we get into it, I just want to do a quick run through of some of the stuff that we're going to be coming out with in the next few weeks. I was very busy this weekend. I shot a couple of different little sketches that we're going to make some tutorials out of. If you've ever seen the movie Blood Machines, we're going to be doing laser effects from that. And we're going to be doing our first Blender tutorial. We're going to show you how to make this quick scene. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be getting into that I'm really excited about. All right, so let's jump right into this. Let's start off by creating a new comp here. 1920, 1080, comp 1. Yeah, we can leave it at that. 30 frames per second, 10 seconds. Although we're not going to use the full 10 seconds. So we're going to start off by writing, oh man. So luckily this is the only time I have to actually type anything in. But over the weekend, part of the things that I have accomplished is I built a prop sci-fi gun out of EVA foam. Also another tutorial coming out. And while changing an X-Acto blade, I think you can guess where this story's going. My hand slipped and jabbed myself right in the middle finger, so it's a little hard to type now. All right, so we have our text here. We're going to go to about 1 second here. And we're going to hit P for the position. Click on the stopwatch and go to 3 seconds. And we're going to click, drag. I'm sure you guys know how to do this by now. All right, check the timing. Yeah, we'll go 4 seconds. All right, so we play this back. We have our linear. I'm going to right click on these keyframes. Go to Easy Ease. All right, so this is actually the first example, and we're not going to be tweaking this, but so now that we have our keyframes all set up and easy eased and whatnot, we're going to go and click on this little icon, which is the graph editor, the focus on today. Now, you should be able to see your keyframes, but as you notice, there is nothing down here. So what we can do is we can just go to Show Selected Properties and Show Animated Properties. So that's basically the visibility for your keyframes. So this is your first keyframe here. This is your last keyframe, and this is the interpolation in between. Over in this tab, we have a couple options here. We can do Auto Select. Now, this is the one I work in pretty much exclusively. It's Edit Value Graph. And as you can see, we have a little curve here. So what we're going to do is go over here and keep an eye on this little red dot here. So we're going to go to the right a little bit. So vertically on your graph editor, vertically, this is your value, whatever you have in place. Let's undo that. And then obviously left and right is the timing or temporal. So basically here we can see a representation, another representation besides in these little dots of our easy ease. The steeper the vertical ascent or descent, the faster it will be moving. Another thing we have here is we can show the bounding box here. So if we select these two keyframes, you'll see that we have this bounding box, and we can move them, shrink them down. That's a little handy thing. And over here we have snap, which causes them to snap. I mean, that's pretty. Now these two down here, they're pretty handy too. They focus on the keyframes. And here we have fit selection into view, and then fit all graphs into view. So if you have, let's say, let's come over here. Let's get out of the graph editor, hit U, go to this first keyframe. And let's say hit scale. We zoom out. There we go. I know we didn't do anything with the scale, but we just created keyframes. If I select position, if I select these two keyframes and go like that, just the position will be shown here. And if I click focus on all, you can see all of our keyframes from start to finish. So that's the difference between those two. Here we can edit our keyframes. Click on them. We can change these. Yeah, remember that? Good old trick. We can change them to easy ease in or out through here. Also, you can do that by right-clicking. So here you have our visible keyframes here. And then we have your graph types. So from here, we can also select maybe these keyframes, turn them into hold keyframes, which probably be better if I do the first one. There we go, hold keyframes. And if you notice, it doesn't move until it reaches there. So that's what a hold keyframe is. It will hold its position. All right, we can switch this to linear. We can also set it to easy ease in and out. So let's do that. All right, so that's basically the user interface of the graph editor. So we're going to hit U, and we're going to get rid of our scale because we don't want that. So we're going to duplicate our text. Take this bottom one, go to the first keyframe. We've done this before. Select your keyframes, pull it down just a little bit like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to separate the dimensions, and we're going to get rid of the Y. Hit U so that only our X position or all our keyframes are showing. And we're going to select these, go into our graph editor. Maybe, yeah. Select these. Sometimes I don't like it totally zoomed in, so, I kind of bring it back. But here we are. We have linear interpolations. So let's switch these to easy ease. There we go. So now we have an exact copy of our text. So what we can do here, now we have these little handles. So what we can do is if we hit shift while clicking and dragging, we can move these in and out. Now I'm going to pull this. I'm going to really pull that in there. We're going to play this back. And now it takes a really long time for it to pull out of its initial position. I would say about here it's going its fastest, and then it slows down again. Now we can also pull this out. I mean, this is really extreme, but you can see it slow, boom, boom. All right, so that's our first example here. All right, so we're going to duplicate that again, and we are going to select the keyframes and move this down. All right, so what we did for this one is we're gonna go into the graph editor, select our position. So bringing these horizontal will ease it into it. Now, can you take a guess what will happen if we maybe change this to a vertical? Maybe like that. I mean, you can see what's going on here. We got these dots. They're super close together. And then we have the last 2 frames here. Huge jump. So we play that back. I mean, that's just too much. All right. And just like with the other examples last week, if you notice, I mean, there's all of these are taking off from the same point in time and landing at the same point in time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this again. Go to the first keyframe, hit U, select your keyframes, and we're going to move this down. And we're going to click on separate dimensions. We can go to the middle here. We're going to pull this down like so. And then we're going to switch these to easy ease. Now you notice that we don't have our handles here when we have both positions selected. So what we can do is go to separate dimensions and separate them again. And switch them back to linear except for these, which are easy ease in. I'm not saying everything that After Effects does makes sense, but them's the breaks, right? So we go into our graph editor here, and now we see we have our Bezier curves, or handles. So just like with editing the path, we can edit this separately, or we can hit Alt and move them together. Say we want it to maybe not slow down as much before it goes, and then kind of. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this one last time. Duplicate and open up our keyframes, and we're going to delete them. So we're going to hit R. And we're going to hit Shift and S. So we're going to go to 1 second here. Click our scale to 0. Rotation. Make sure we hit both of our stopwatches there. Go to the 4-second mark. And we're going to rotate this. Actually, we're just going to go to this first number and go to 1. And then in scale, we're going to type in 100. It's actually rotating on a weird way because our center point is actually at the bottom. So what we can do is hit Y, grab onto this, hit Command, and that will snap it to the center. Now we have our scale and rotation. We're going to move that above there. We're going to take that and we're going to hit V, and we're just going to move it down to the bottom here, just so our other text doesn't bump into it. All right, so we're going to take these. You guessed it, easy ease. Let's move that there. Select all these keyframes. Boom. Actually, I wanted to flip these. There we go. All right, so if we go to our speed graph, we can change the speed kind of in the same way as in the value graph. I don't really use the speed graph that much. I mean, there's certain things where I think you actually can't use value graph. But here we go, speed graph. All right, so that's the episode for today. I know none of this stuff is really actually like interesting. Like the movements aren't interesting. It's pretty much just something going from left to right. And it kind of has been for a couple weeks now. But that's all right, because what we're doing is right now we're just learning what these little guys do and how you can make them freak out and whatnot. Next week, we're going to be talking about the puppet pin tool. And then we're going to be talking about squash and stretch and overshoot and follow through, wind up, all the different little animation fundamentals that go into creating awesome lifelike work. All right, and then at the end, we're going to end the series with a little project type thing. We're going to have a ball, and it's going to be thrown into a wall, and then the ball will fall and then bounce a couple times and then come rolling to a stop. All right, so tune in next week where we'll be talking about Puppet Tool. And, check in for Wednesdays. We're going to have some pretty sweet tutorials this week. I think I'm doing, I still don't even have it decided what I'm doing. Thinking about doing how to create a template for your thumbnails in After Effects. Come and find us on Wednesday. We'll be talking about that. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.